depth and sincerity of the welcome, and of course also for the extraordinary excitement and delight of the presentations that we've seen this evening. Every one of them has been unique and memorable, so thank you for that wonderful enrichment. I want to say a very brief word about welcome and hospitality, and begin with a story that is probably familiar to Christians present, may not be quite so familiar to others. It's a story from the Hebrew Scriptures about a prophet who is a refugee. He has fled from persecution in his own country, and he is looking for food and for shelter in a neighbouring country. But there is a famine in the neighbouring country. He knocks on the door of a poor widow with a child, asks will she give him something to eat and drink. She says she has only just a tiny little bit of oil and flour. She's about to make what she thinks will be her last meal for her own family. The prophet says to her, "Make me something to eat before you make something for yourself." And the woman makes a little roll of bread with the oil and the flour and gives it to the prophet. And he says, from this moment on, your supplies of oil and the flour will not fail. So, when she extends hospitality to the stranger, she discovers that she has more, not less. And that, I think, is one of the messages we've heard this evening. A community that opens its doors to welcome the stranger has more and not less. More richness of humanity, more depth of experience, more range of hope, that crucial word which we heard so much about just now. And I think that story is important for us, especially at a time when we are looking at a future in which there will not be a great deal of abundance in this country, in which we all face financial problems and challenges. And it's so easy and so very tempting to say, when we have less, we must give less away. The story from Scripture that I quoted suggests, when we have less, we need to give more away and to open our doors more widely, because then we will be enriched. So I want to leave that story with you as something which to me expresses some of the vision that Coventry has shown over the years and still shows today. The vision of a community willing to be enriched, even when it has suffered, when it has been deprived. It has still found the vision and the strength to open its doors, like the woman in the story, making a little cake of oil and flour to share with the stranger, even if you're not sure where your own next meal is coming from. I'm not suggesting that Coventry has done that literally, but it has said the stranger is an enrichment. And that's what we look for in a city, in a country that is really at home with itself. And that's the second thing I'd like to say very, very briefly. People are most hospitable, most welcoming, when they feel most at home with themselves and in themselves. And it is frightened, paranoid, unhappy societies that slam their doors in the face of strangers. A city that welcomes, like a home that welcomes, is a city, a home, feels it can afford to open its doors because it knows that it lives in a spacious place. And so my prayer is